Welcome to the How to Program with Java podcast, where all you need is the desire to learn, and you too can become a Java programmer with absolutely no knowledge of programming. And now, your host, Trevor Page.
Hey guys, how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the How to Program with Java podcast. I am your host, Trevor Page, and welcome to episode 62. We have been talking a little bit, we've done a little introduction about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that will be the topic that we will continue upon or down for this episode. We're going to be talking more specifically about HTML and some of the syntax and whatnot that goes along with it. Now, before we jump into that, I'll be able to finally jump into some of the reviews that we received on iTunes. If you want to leave a rating or review on the show and in such a way that I will actually read it at the top of the next episode, you can go to howtoprogramwithjava.com/love, L-O-V-E. That will redirect you to the actual iTunes application and put you right onto my podcasts page. If you do not have iTunes installed, then I will suggest that you do that. Otherwise, the link will bring you nowhere. And that will be confusing and that will be strange. So make sure you have iTunes installed, and then it will redirect you appropriately, and you'll be able to leave a rating and review by clicking on the review tab on the page that you open or that you see on iTunes that is open in front of your very eyes. Also, I'd recommend subscribing if you haven't done so. That really helps us out as well to, gain the rankings and be found by more and more people. So if you haven't done that yet, please do subscribe. You can do that via the same link, howtoprogramwithjava.com/love. All right, so we had 3 reviews come in from 3 different countries, which is wonderful. The first one is a 5-star review from the Netherlands by Han the Man. He says, "Great podcast. I'm listening to this podcast in my car to work, trying to learn Java to use with Selenium WebDriver. Due to this series of podcasts, I'm able to automate my test scripts and even more. It's a blast. Download this and start learning Java today." Wicked. Han the Man, you are the man. Thank you very much for the review all the way from the Netherlands. I just love it. I've used Selenium before. It's really cool stuff when you get into fully creating automated tests for your code. And Selenium, I don't think I used I did use the WebDriver, but I also used the front end scripting Selenium that you can use as a plugin, I think, for Firefox. I've used that before as well, so you can actually queue up real world tests on the front end, so the presentation layer. You can have it click on elements and so on and so forth, which is really cool. I really love to use it. It was a bit glitchy when I was using it, so it was a bit of a pain. But I think the Selenium WebDriver is a lot more solid with respect to its functionality and whatnot. But I digress. So next review comes in from New Zealand. Wicked. I've been to Australia once. I realize New Zealand and Australia are not the same thing at all. I will say that right up front. But I was very close to New Zealand, and I have a new friend in New Zealand. It's actually an entrepreneurial friend in New Zealand. So I'm hoping at some point in my life I'm going to be able to make it down there and take in the sights and hopefully not get too freaked out by the wildlife there and the insects and whatnot. But in any case. I'd say she. I have no idea if it's a she or a he. The username is just DRF-3. So who knows? Could be a she, could be a he. In any case, they say, "Great teaching. Trevor is a gifted teacher of Java and computer programming. Trevor communicates the topics well, and podcasts are supported by show notes and videos. Keep it coming, please." So, what better review can you ask for? Short, sweet, to the point, and lots of praise. I love it. Hopefully, if this is one of your first times listening to the show, you can really, hear these people and really lean on them in their faith on the quality of the show. I try my best to make it as good as possible. So hopefully, I'll be able to, make you a regular listener if, like I said, this is one of your first times listening. All right, next one comes in from my hometown of Canada. I should say home country of Canada, from username Russ B. They say that they are a mature student. I'm going to say he, because I believe Russ is a male name anyway. If it's not, then I apologize. He's a mature student. He says, "I have just started this series of podcasts And so far, I'm finding them excellent. I've just finished episode 5 and believe I'm making good progress. Thanks, Trevor. I hope these podcasts will help me create a second career for myself. Well, I hope so too, Russ. I mean, that's the whole point of this show, is to be able to take someone from knowing, practically nothing or absolutely nothing about programming to being able to fully understand the concepts, not be intimidated by all these programming terms and whatnot, and be able to, hit the ground running and be able to actually create programs for yourself. I mean, if I do my job correctly, you can actually create web applications for yourself, all the way from the presentation layer to the data layer. So that would be fantastic, and that is obviously the hope that I bring to you guys. So I look forward to hearing more from Russ. I'm seeing that he's on episode 5, so he's not going to hear this review for quite some time, since we're on episode 62 now. But yeah, hopefully I hear back from him in hopefully the next few months as he's gone through the library and is able to say, yes, I've been making great progress so far. Any case, let's get started with this episode. I'm just going to bring up my notes that I've already written down like so, and we can be off and running. So, like I said, HTML. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. If you didn't listen to last episode, HTML is also known as HyperText Markup Language, and it is what we use to create websites. It's the syntax, it's the text that we type in and pass along to the browsers for the browsers to be able to read it and interpret it and then spit out an actual, web page, an actual page that we can look at and see as an actual website and interact with it as an actual website. This HTML code is stored inside of a file that is an HTML file. Okay, so just like in Java, we have Java class files, which are stored as .java files. In HTML land, we have files that are stored as .html. Okay, so you can actually go on your computer right now. You can open up like a text pad or notepad or whatever it is that you want to use. You can start typing in HTML syntax. Okay, because it's just text, there's nothing special. You can start typing that in and save the file as a .html file instead of a .txt or whatever it is that you would save it as. Save it as a .html, and then you'll be able to actually double-click on it, and voila, it'll open in your default browser, and you can actually see the fruits of your labor inside of a browser window. So that's really cool stuff, really simple to use and to get going with. So let's talk about basic HTML. So basic HTML example. And like I said, HTML is simple. You can just program this or put this code into a standard text file. So that's what I would recommend that you open up when you are actually typing this stuff out. All right. So a basic example starts with, two or three main things. So first of all, you need to remember that HTML is accomplished and is done via tags, HTML tags. So now what a tag is just a specific keyword. Okay, it's a keyword that's specific to HTML. HTML understands it, or rather the browsers understand these keywords. And these keywords are encased in angled brackets. So that's the less than and greater than sign. So you'll have a tag like, let's say, for example, title. So the word title is a reserved word. It's a keyword that browsers understand and will use in order to specify the actual title of a website. Okay, or a web page, I should say. So that will be the title that appears now inside of the tab of an open tab in your browser. Okay, so if you have a tab open in Internet Explorer or Firefox or Chrome, the actual title will show based on what it is that you put inside of the title tags. All right, so you have the word title, and it is encased in angled brackets. So that looks like less than sign, title, greater than sign. All right, so that's called an opening tag. We open up the title tag so that we can actually type in some text within the scope of the tags and actually, write out whatever it is that the title we want to have displayed on the tab, whatever that may be. We type it in within the bounds, within the scope of the title tags. So that's an opening tag. We would type in our title, whatever that may be, and then we would write the closing tag. All right, so what's a closing tag? It's the same thing. It's the same keyword, title, and it's encased in the same angled brackets. However, we have a forward slash before the word title. So it would be written as less than sign, forward slash, title, greater than sign. All right, so that's the opening and closing tags. Now, if you are at all familiar with XML, that's exactly what's going on here. And it's not a coincidence that the two of these share similar syntax, okay? XML is known as the extensible markup language. So the key word there is markup language. So just like HTML is hypertext markup language, XML is extensible markup language. So it seems as though this markup language thing is all about using these angled brackets and opening and closing tags, which, I mean, in my experience, that's exactly what it's all about. So, with these two examples, I'm going to just say, as a final statement, that that's what it is all about. So if you've never used XML before, and you obviously never used HTML before, then this might seem a little bit odd, but it's not really that strange. Okay, we're still defining scope, and scope is something that we're familiar with inside of our regular programming. If you've gone through this podcast series, you've learned a little bit about Java. And Java, for example, uses curly braces, right? Curly braces? Yeah, curly braces to define a scope of a statement. So if you have an if statement, it says if, and then you open up your parenthesis, and you put in your statement, and you close your parenthesis, and then you use an open curly bracket, or is that what I said? Curly bracket? I keep forgetting. Oh, in any case, you open up the curly bracket, you type in your code, and use the close curly bracket. Those two curly brackets are the same thing as these tags I'm talking about, these opening and closing tags. They define sort of the scope, the magnitude, the encapsulation of whatever it is, the functionality or whatever it is that it's doing, okay? The functionality of the tag itself, the bounds of the tag itself. So hopefully I've beaten that concept to death and you fully understand it. So what you would do is you would, write the opening title tag, then you would write your title. So, maybe you would say, well, for this one, the title of this show, or rather the show notes page, which is available via howtoprogramwithjava.com/session62. The title of that web page, when you go to it, is Introduction to HTML. All right, simple and plain and easy. So what I would do is I would open up my title tag, so less than sign, title, greater than sign. Then I would type in Introduction to HTML, and then I would close the tag with the less than sign, forward slash, that's the slash going from bottom left to top right, and then I would type in title. Okay, it's very important that the two words match. Okay, so that's one thing that's a little bit different from Java. Java, you can't really screw up the open and closing curly brackets because they are the same thing. There's no sort of words inside of the curly bracket that you need to match up. So it's a little bit different in that respect, but it does the same thing. So if you don't type in the word title, then that means that you've created a closing tag for a different tag. So if you typed in title, only you mixed up the L and the E or something like that, you made a typo, then it's expecting that's a closing tag for the word title spelled incorrectly. It's expecting that there is an opening tag now with that same misspelling of the word title. Okay, because when you have an opening tag, you should have a closing tag, and vice versa. When you have a closing tag, it expects that there's an opening tag, so it can figure out the scope of the functionality of that particular tag. Okay, now that should go without saying that now your opening title tag, the one spelled correctly, is now not going to be closing correctly because you haven't put in the right spelling of the word title to close it, and then you're going to have a little bit of a strange situation going on. You'll get some wonky results from your web page. Now, in modern day browsers try their best to accommodate for that kind of mistake. If there's a missing closing tag, then it will kind of close it off for you. But that's where different browsers handle those situations in different ways. Okay, so that's when I was talking about in the last episode when I was talking about jQuery. jQuery helps in such a way that it makes all the browsers function more or less the same. Now, jQuery doesn't handle mistyped tags, but I was just using that as an example of how different these browsers can be from one another. Okay, they all will have different ways of handling different situations. So I guess the moral of the story is don't make typos when you're typing in your tags, the tag names, I should say. So if you create an opening title tag, you need to make sure that you create the proper closing title tag. So don't screw up the naming of the actual tags. Now, that's not something that happens very often, but I figured I'd just throw it in there. So, beautiful. That is an example of a title tag. You're probably very tired of hearing me say that word now, so we can move on. That is an example of one of the very, very many variations of different tags that you can use inside of HTML. So let's talk about an HTML page in general. What makes up the hello world version of an HTML page? What is the minimum viable code? What's the minimum amount of code that we need to type in to create our first web page? And that's actually pretty simple to talk about. The first thing is you need to have an HTML tag. So HTML tag, opening and closing HTML tags define the scope of an HTML page. Typically, what will happen is for a single HTML file, so whatever the file is called .html, inside of that file, near the very top, you'll have an opening HTML tag, and pretty much at the very bottom, you'll have a closing HTML tag. That covers the majority of situations. Okay, typically you would never ever have any code after the closing HTML tag. I'll say that again because that's actually that is actually something that could tip you off that there's something wrong with your page. If you have anything after the closing HTML tag, that might mean that something's wrong with your page, okay, or someone has messed with it in some way, shape, or form. You should never have anything after the closing HTML tag. But when you have the HTML tags, that defines the scope of the entire HTML page. Okay, so you can see how, why would you have anything outside of the scope of that tag? Because within the bounds of the tag, that defines your whole web page, and that's what we're using this HTML code for, is to create a web page. So you would have your HTML tag. And then within that HTML tag, okay, so you would say nested inside of it, just like you would have a nested if statement or a nested for loop or whatever. It's the same concept here. Within the HTML tag, so between the opening and closing HTML tag, we will have another tag, and that's usually called the head tag. Okay, so usually an HTML page is separated into a head section and a body section. Head, body, just like a human has a head, human has a body. That's how they define the bounds or the functionality of an HTML page. You define a header and a body. Okay, now the header and the body have two different functionalities. The header section of a web page is where you specify things like the title of the web page, which is what I was just talking about. You put the title tag inside of the head tag. So title is nested inside of the head tag, which is nested inside of the HTML tag. Okay, you can see how there's a lot of nesting going on here. So, like I said, if you look at the title of this web page, it says Introduction to HTML, and that isn't an accident because I use the title tag inside of the head tag, inside of the HTML tag, which defines the title of this website. Okay, now below the head section, so now we're not nesting, so we have a head and a body. We do not nest the body inside of the head. Don't make that mistake. Head and body are two different sections, therefore they are not nested within each other. They're just above and below each other. So the head, opening head and closing head tag is above the opening body tag and the closing body tag. Okay, so head comes before body, just like hopefully if you are oriented correctly, your head comes first and then your body comes second if someone's looking at you from top to bottom. Same thing when you're looking at an HTML page from top to bottom, you see the head first and the body second. Okay, so the body of the web page is where the real meat of the page exists. This is where all the useful content goes, and where people will actually be interacting with the reading material, okay, the stuff on the web page. Creating the body, like I said, is also based on HTML tags. There's an opening body tag, which is less than symbol, body, greater than sign. Okay, and then you have all the contents that you'd put inside of the body would go next. And then you would have the closing body tag, which is less than sign, / the word body, greater than sign. Okay, so it's very, you will never have a different syntax for opening and closing tags. The only difference between an opening tag and a closing tag is the actual keyword that you put inside of it, which defines what that tag is. Okay, and like I said, all these tags have very specific functionalities. The HTML tag does something different than the head tag, does something different than the title tag, that does something different from the body tag. All right, these are all very different things. So what I would suggest is you would go to, the show notes page to see the example of what it is that I'm talking about. You'll see an example of all of this HTML page that I've been sort of vocally explaining to you. You'll see it on the page itself, so it'll make more sense. Like I said, go to howtoprogramwithjava.com /session62, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? So, having said that, we've talked about 4 different tags. The HTML tag, which is what defines the bounds of the entire page itself. Every web page needs to be wrapped inside of an HTML tag. This is what we call the root element. Okay, that concept of root element comes from XML. Okay, then we have the head tag that we talked about. Every web page also needs a head tag, also referred to as a header tag, but don't type in the word header as the keyword. That won't be recognized by browsers. You need to use the word head. And this is where you define your title, among other things. Okay, every web page needs one. You should also include the title tag. Okay, you don't need to define a title tag. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely helpful, because if your web page doesn't have a title, then it would look kind of strange inside of the tab. Okay, there wouldn't be anything written there, and that would be a little bit strange. Then we've also talked about the body tag, which obviously every web page needs a body tag, which is actually what outlines all the real useful content that will be displayed on the website itself. So those are the 4 main tags that you need to use to create essentially your hello world type HTML page. So now the onus is on you to take this information that you've just learned, that I've taken out of my brain and placed now into your brain through the magic of podcasting in this beautiful modern day age where I can do this kind of thing, where I can talk into a microphone by myself inside of my office in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada, near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And then you can be receiving this information across sound waves that are emitting from either your speakers on your desktop, or your earbuds, or your car stereo system. Sound waves are coming out of there, and you are learning this stuff. Okay? Isn't that, when you think about that, I'm getting off topic here, but isn't that freaking amazing? Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. So you're receiving this information. So now I want you to do something with this information. Okay, I want you to take action with this information. I am taking what it is that I've been learning for the past 2 years as I've been, going down this path, this entrepreneurial path for myself. I'm taking lessons that I have learned along the way, and I am now molding them into lessons that you can use in the world of programming. And that is all about action. If you do not take action, you're not going to get anywhere. All right? So it's great that you're listening to these episodes. I love you guys, seriously. This has been the most rewarding experience of my life, okay? And that is not, I don't say that lightly. The creation of this podcast has literally changed my life. So I know it's changed your life, or lives, because I've received stories from you guys explaining the impact that these episodes have had on your life. Some people, which have already told me, which I've shared these stories, have told me about, them being able to get jobs because they were able to, nail the interviews because now they finally understand these concepts. Okay, these concepts that have so often been represented, have been mistaught, if that's a word, and become overcomplicated and just bloated with all these extra unnecessarily complicated, wordings and structures and functionality. Like, people just try to overcomplicate it just because I think they want to inflate their own egos to make them seem like they are smarter than they actually are. Who knows if that's actually the case? That may maybe be me just, projecting on other people. But in any case, my goal was to make this stuff as plain and easy English, speaking language as possible so that you can take this and run with it. So, having said all that long rant, the whole point of this rant is to say that listening to this stuff, which I love that you guys are doing, is just the first step. The second step, probably the more important step, is to take action on what it is that you've learned. So, what I want you to do, I want you to go to the show notes page. I want you to go to howtoprogramwithjava.com/session 62. I want you to load up that page. I want you to scroll down to the section where you see the example of an HTML website. You'll see it should stand out. It's got a nice gray background with the line numbers for the code that you're all very used to. And I want you to follow the instructions below that code. There's instructions that tell you exactly how to go about creating your own web page. What you'll do is you'll open up a text document, you'll copy-paste that HTML code into the text document, you'll save the document as a .html file, you'll double-click on the file, and that's it. You will see it show up in a browser. You will see the title that we're talking about. I put a title into the example code. You'll see the title appear in the tab of the browser that it's been opened inside of. And you'll see some body text. I've just put a little bit of text to say, I think I said hello world. I'm not sure. Let me go back and check. Yes, I put hello world in the body code. And you'll see hello world display on your screen inside of the browser. All right. And then I want you to go ahead and change some of the code inside of the HTML document. Change the title, change the body. Okay, and mess around with it and see how instant it is, how it happens when you refresh the page. The changes just happen in front of your eyes. Okay, so I want you to do that. That is the exercise that I want you guys to actually follow through with, because once you've done that, you can see that HTML is not very scary. If you understand Java, HTML is going to be very, very easy. The hardest part about HTML is just memorizing all the tags and what it is that they do. Okay, that's no simple task, but it's not by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, impossible to do. So I want you to do that. That's your exercise. That's my assignment that I give to you, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode where we're going to be talking a little bit more about HTML. We're going to be diving into something called the doc type, how to define a doc type and why it's important to do so, but obviously that will be in the next lesson. So to finish off this show, I just want to leave you with one new exciting announcement. I have finally gotten my act together and have finished the publication of my next book. So as you guys may or may not already know, I only have one book out there right now, which is the How to Program with Java Ebook, and I've been very proud of that. That actually hit the #1 bestsellers list on Amazon for its category. I can actually say I'm a best-selling author on Amazon, which is very exciting to be able to say. And so having said that, I finished my next book. So this next book, it has been written on the topic of MySQL. It's about learning MySQL in plain English, a complete beginner's guide to MySQL. So we've already talked about the SQL language, MySQL specifically, in this podcast, but if you are very much a visual learner like myself, then you might benefit from this book. Now, I'm going to be launching the book. As far as I know, I'm launching it on Monday, November 3rd. So I'm recording this episode on October 29th of 2014. So I'm launching it on the Monday, which is in 5 days. Okay, I'm going to be launching it on Amazon. I'm just getting everything wrapped up and getting it submitted to Amazon and getting it reviewed and approved through Amazon's process. And but by November 3rd, which is the Monday, it will be live and available for you guys. And what I'm doing is I'm putting it on sale at the beautiful price of completely free for 5 days. So when I launch it, it's going to be completely and utterly free for you to download. How cool is that? It's a promotion that I'm able to run through Amazon to sort of get the momentum going for the book. And I'm telling you guys this because I want my audience to be completely aware that it will be available for free, and it will be available for free only for the 5 days. So it's going to be on sale for free from Monday the 3rd, so November 3rd, 2014, to Friday, November 7th, 2014. So the whole week it'll be free for you. Will be able to go to Amazon and download it onto your Kindle device or your desktop or what have you. It is yours to take away with forever for free and love and cherish and all that stuff. Now, in exchange for it being free for you for those 5 days, my goal is to get as many reviews as I possibly can. So I'm just being completely honest with you guys here, because Amazon, the marketplace itself, it thrives on reviews. And the more reviews you have, the more feedback that real customers reading the real book supply and give, the more reviews I get, the more other people will see it and say, okay, I trust these people and their comments, so I will either decide to purchase the book or not purchase the book. So in exchange for it being free, and the fact that I've spent, I don't know how many months putting this together, my only request is to please also leave a rating and review for the book when you're done. Okay, you receive an email probably from Amazon saying, "Hey, how's it going? How was the book? Did you like it? Did you not like it?" When you get that email, it would mean the world to me if you could go ahead and respond to that and leave a rating and review. Obviously, if the rating you're going to leave is a very low rating, so if it's going to be a 3-star or below, I would really love it if you contacted me first and talked to me first about it. Maybe there's something I can tweak and help you out with, because obviously if you leave a 3, 2, or 1-star review, then you are really hurting my ability to get the book out there and seen by a lot of people. So I would love to be able to talk to you first. Okay, and if it really is something that I cannot help you with, then I will not stop you. You can absolutely go ahead and leave that review, because I don't want to, it's a fair and open world, and I want you to be able to speak your mind. But in any case, if you want to talk to me before you leave a 3-star review or lower, by all means, go ahead. info@howtoprogramwithjava.com. That comes directly to my computer, directly to my eyes, to no one else's eyes. I will be able to help you out if you have any issues at all. Cool? So, like I said, that'll be available on November 3rd. Should be in every single Amazon store front. So whichever country you're living in, you can go and check it out and download it for free for that week. After that week, I believe the book will be on sale for, I think it's $7.99 or $9.99. I forget. I think it's $9.99. I'm putting it on sale for. So that's what it'll be. You'll be saving yourself a whole $10 if you get it inside of that week. If you really, really appreciate everything that I'm doing for you, and you don't mind just spending the $10 after the week promotion is up, then you can always do that as well. It's completely up to you. But like I said, the most important thing for me is to get those reviews on the book as early as possible. That's going to help me in the long run. So I'd much prefer you to get the book for free and leave a review than you to just buy the book outright and not leave a review, if you catch my drift. All right, so that'll be then. I'm very excited for that. Hopefully next week when I do the next podcast episode about, like I said, the HTML doc type topic, I will reiterate this suggestion that you guys grab the book for free before it is too late. Sound good? So take care of yourself, everyone. I absolutely love you guys. I can't wait to do the next episode. I wish you the very best. Happy learning, and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the How to Program with Java podcast. Please visit howtoprogramwithjava.com for more useful Java tutorials.